each time a colleague leaves or enters an organization, it kicks off a lot of work. There's a lot of costs to that work. Costs that doesn't ordinarily jump out on a balance sheet, right? If a CFO is looking at it, they're not going to say, oh my gosh, turnover is just killing us, right? You have to calculate that. And that's where HR can play a part in educating the organization and maybe redirecting some efforts. So how do you calculate it? Well, you need to account for a couple things. The time to hire. How long does it take you to find a candidate and bring them in? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Probably at least 2 weeks, because the people you're bringing in probably have to give 2 weeks to the place that they're currently employed. Time to onboard. How many weeks does that take? 1 week, 2 weeks? Offboarding time. You know, how long does it take to wrap up the stuff that person's doing and reassign it? Vacancy costs. What do we do when they're gone and we don't have that person? Do other people have to work overtime? Do we have to hire temps? Are we just not as productive? Effort to hire and effort to onboard. This is slightly different. This is how much time do your managers and your colleagues spend interviewing candidates, showing them how to do the job, doing orientation for them, right? That's not why you hired those people, presumably. They already have something else to do. So this is something that takes them away from their core function. That has a cost too. But notice we're not capturing everything here. This is just a good way to estimate it. You can get to a number here. And you take that number into account. So the fictional example we have here is for a cook, making some assumptions that are all on here, but we have a total cost of turnover of about $8,600, right? So if someone's wanting a raise, if that's going to make them happy, hey, it'd be cheaper to give them a raise that's less than $8,600 than the turnover, the cost of turnover, right? We have to factor those in when we're making those decisions. But it's not capturing everything. It's not capturing time to proficiency. This is just getting them onboarded. This is getting them into the system, making them functional. How long does it take them to do a really good job, right? What historical knowledge loss are we going to have, right? What do you learn on the job that management doesn't think about? What does the person bring to the job that is going to walk out the door with them? And then what's the cultural impact, right? We'll talk more about that in a second.
There's 4 different generations in the work environment. So that means that each generation is on their own path. They're on different path of that work-life expectancy. So that means they need different things. They have different needs. You know, baby boomers between the ages of 59 to 77 have different needs where they're at with their path, and they're less likely to actually want to leave the working environment, being so close to retirement. And so are those people that have quite a bit of tenure in the company. Usually about, you know, when we're in the baby boomer age, if they're about 5 to 10 years from retirement, they may make a change. Or somebody that needs to have a little bit more money into their retirement fund if they're looking to jump ship for more money, or maybe to another organization that has better 401k contributions. So those people might leave just so that they're in a better financial situation when they do retire compared to others. But a survey that was actually done found that the baby boomers and Gen Xers were more satisfied in their jobs compared to the millennials and Gen Zs, as they found those generations less satisfied with their jobs. And in a study done as far as leaving, they found that the millennials were twice as likely as baby boomers to also leave their organization and find another job. So we know that age influences the attrition rate. And then when we look at the millennials and Gen Zs, they expect something different from their employers. They want things different from their employers compared to baby boomers and Gen Xers. So employers have to listen to that and really understand those groups and hear them.
Think about your engagement or think about a previous role. One thing I want to talk about this is the importance of relationships in the workplace. Has anyone ever stayed at a role where maybe they didn't feel engaged because of the people around them? Yeah, right? People make a really, really big impact. So, right, the other presenters have talked about the different impacts and what goes to turnover. Connections matter. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what some of those workplace connections are and how those can help reduce turnover. I know we have people from diverse backgrounds in the audience, but this probably is something that's widely understood, is higher engagement is going to lead to lower turnover. So if you think about that past graphic, the folks that have higher engagement, they're going to stay at your company longer. That leads to lower turnover, whereas lower engagement is going to lead to higher turnover rates. So a couple more stats. 31%, this was a survey done of 3,500 US employees, so a really big sample size. 31% of employees reported that they were engaged, enthusiastic, and energized by their work, less than a third. Whereas 46% of employees wish their employer took more action after receiving employee feedback. So my advice to all of you on this is listen and listen and listen. We talked about that. Ask questions, listen to your employees, but act on it. Listening is really important, but the action has to follow it. So if you're a people leader, if you're an HR in your organization, it's really important that you're listening to feedback and you're actually acting on it as well.
57% of employees that are considering leaving right now said there's a reason, there's an opportunity to keep them if they could only be heard. If we would only listen to what those needs are and understand that, they would stay. Of all of those statistics and surveys that we looked at today, if we could keep 57% of that population, think of the impact that would have on our organizations. Only if they felt heard, only if they felt like we were listening to them. If there's one simple thing that we could do to change in their work schedule, in their performance metrics, why not consider that? Think of the cost. It's not worth that $8,900 that Marcus mentioned. It's simply not worth it to not listen to them and understand where those needs are. So we're going to pause for a second. I'm going to ask Lauren to come up and join me, and we're going to have a little conversation. Lauren, last week in the team meeting, I noticed that you were a little disengaged, and I actually heard you say that you were feeling a little bored with the work that you're doing. I just wanted to use this opportunity today to kind of explore that and maybe understand where that's coming from.
Yeah, that's been on my mind a lot. I'm sorry I said that. I hope that was okay for me to say. I think what it is I've been in this accounting associate role for 3 years now, and I just feel like I could do the job in my sleep. And I feel like every day is kind of the same. I feel like I'm good at my job. I really like what I do, but I think the boredness is just, maybe I do want to, I've never led people, but maybe I do want to lead people or be a manager. And I haven't told you that before, and I haven't thrown my name in the hat, but as I've thought about it, I think that's why I'm bored.
Okay. I really appreciate the fact that you're open about that. I think that's a great opportunity for us to explore. Tell me a little bit how I could support you if that's an interest that you have. Like, as it relates to leading, what drives you there? What's kind of motivating that desire?